everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hollyoaks will air a new development in Donny Clark's fake debt ordeal. Earlier this year, the Channel 4 soap saw Donny pulling a break-in scam to repay a loan shark loan. When he came clean to Misbah and his daughter Vicky's boyfriend Robbie offered to help him get back on his feet, but actually tricked him into paying more. Robbie lied about having repaid the debt himself after meeting with the loan shark and proposed a payment plan to Donny and Misbah. In scenes airing next week, Donny continues repaying his non-existent debt to Robbie, unbeknownst to Vicky. When she spots her dad's handwriting on an envelope of cash in the loft's office, Robbie lies again and tells her he's helped Donny pay for the wedding. Robbie promises Vicky he can wipe off the debt if it makes her happy, but will he do it? Robbie has been a shady character since returning to the village this year. After being involved in a prostitution racket with Hannah Ashworth and feuding with his brother Freddie over the custody of Lexi, Robbie also killed gangster Blue aka Dave Williams. When meeting with Donny's loan shark, Robbie revealed he had murdered Blue and would do the same to him if he didn't cancel the debt, and then lied to Donny about it. "I've paid him off, but unfortunately it cost more than the original debt, £10,000 more, Robbie claimed in October. "I had the means and I thought it was the right thing to do. You can pay me back in manageable amounts. Hopefully it takes a bit of pressure off you." Title: A Debt Paid in Blood. Robbie sat at the dilapidated bar in the Dog in the Pond, nursing a pint of lager that had gone flat an hour ago. His jaw clenched as he replayed the scene in his mind. Donny, his so-called father, pacing the Roscoe garage with desperation painted all over his face. Donny's debts had a habit of catching up to him, but this time the stakes were dangerously high. The loan sharks weren't just knocking, they were threatening. "Robbie, it's bad," Donny had said earlier that evening, his voice wavering. "I owe them 20 grand. If I don't pay by the end of the week." He hadn't finished the sentence, but Robbie knew what was implied. Robbie downed the last dregs of his pint, slamming the glass onto the sticky bar top. He wasn't going to sit back and let Donny drag the family into ruin again. For all his faults, Robbie had a sense of loyalty, twisted as it might be. The next day, Robbie stood in the middle of the scrapyard, surveying the wrecks with a sharp eye. He had a plan, half-baked and reckless, but it was better than nothing. He'd heard whispers of a lucrative underground car theft ring operating out of Chester. If he could pull off a heist and deliver a car to the ring, he'd make enough to clear Donny's debt. Freddie Roscoe, Robbie's older brother, approached him, wiping his hands on a rag. "What are you up to, Rob? You've got that look." "What look?" Robbie asked, feigning innocence. "The one that says you're about to do something stupid." Robbie smirked but didn't answer. Instead, he shoved his hands in his pockets and started walking toward the exit. Freddie called after him, but Robbie didn't stop. Freddie wouldn't understand. None of them would. That night, Robbie scoped out the perfect target, a sleek, black Mercedes parked outside an upscale restaurant. The owner was inside, likely enjoying a 3-course meal and oblivious to the storm brewing outside. Robbie's heart pounded as he crouched beside the car, tools in hand. He'd done this before, but it never got easier. He worked quickly, bypassing the alarm and hotwiring the ignition. The engine roared to life, and Robbie slid into the driver's seat, adrenaline coursing through his veins. As he sped away, the gravity of what he'd just done hit him. This wasn't just a joyride. This was a calculated risk to save his family from ruin. The meeting with the car theft ring took place in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Chester. Robbie parked the stolen Mercedes and stepped out, his nerves barely contained. A man in a leather jacket emerged from the shadows, flanked by 2 burly henchmen. "You're late," the man growled. "Had to make sure I wasn't followed," Robbie shot back, trying to sound more confident than he felt. The man circled the car, inspecting it with a critical eye. "Nice work," he said after a moment. This'll fetch a decent price." Robbie exhaled, relief washing over him. "So we good." The man handed him a thick envelope. 20 grand as agreed. "But don't think you're out of the woods. We'll be in touch." Robbie didn't stick around to ask questions. He took the money and left, the weight of his actions pressing down on him. Back at the Roscoe household, Robbie found Donny in the kitchen, nursing a glass of whiskey. "Here," Robbie said, tossing the envelope onto the table. Donny's eyes widened as he opened it, his hands trembling. "Where did you—" "Don't ask," Robbie cut him off. "Just take it and pay them off." Donny looked at his son, guilt and gratitude warring on his face. "You didn't have to do this, Robbie." "Yeah, I did," Robbie said, his voice hard. "Because you won't. Just don't mess this up, Donny." For a brief moment, it seemed like the storm had passed. Donny paid off his debt, and the loan sharks backed off. But Robbie's actions didn't go unnoticed. A week later, a black SUV pulled up outside the dog in the pond. Robbie was inside, chatting with Nancy when the doors of the SUV opened, and 2 men stepped out. "Robbie Roscoe," one of them called. Robbie tensed, his instincts screaming at him to run, but it was too late. The men grabbed him, dragging him outside. Nancy screamed, but no one dared to intervene. The men shoved Robbie into the SUV, and it sped off into the night. In the back of the SUV, Robbie faced the man in the leather jacket. "You thought you could just walk away?" the man sneered. "We don't work like that, Robbie." "I did what you asked," Robbie shot back. "I stole the car. I got you your money." The man chuckled darkly. "And now we need more." Over the next few days, Robbie was pulled deeper into the ring. It forced him to steal more cars, each job more dangerous than the last. Robbie knew he was in over his head, but every time he thought about walking away, he thought about Donny. Freddie eventually confronted him, piecing together what was going on. "You're an idiot, Rob," Freddie yelled. "You think this is the way to fix things? You're going to end up in prison, or worse." "I don't have a choice," Robbie shouted back. "Donny's debts didn't just go away. They're my problem now." "They're not your problem," Freddie said, his voice softer. "You're not responsible for his mess." Robbie didn't listen. He was in too deep to back out now. But everything came to a head when the ring ordered him to steal from someone he couldn't cross, Grace Black. The night of the heist, Robbie stood outside Grace's club, his nerves shot. He knew Grace's reputation, and he knew what would happen if he got caught. But before he could make his move, Grace herself appeared, flanked by her enforcers. "Robbie Roscoe," she said, her voice cold. "I hear you've been causing trouble in my territory." Robbie froze, his mind racing. "Grace, I can explain." "Save it," she snapped. "You're going to tell me everything. And if I don't like what I hear—" She trailed off, her meaning clear. In the end, Robbie had no choice but to confess. He told Grace everything, about Donny's debts, the car theft ring, and his own desperation. Grace listened, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she said, "You're lucky I don't kill you where you stand. But I've got a better idea." She offered Robbie a deal. Work for her to pay off his debt, and she'd protect him from the ring. Robbie agreed, knowing he had no other option. As he walked away from Grace's club that night, he felt the weight of his choices pressing down on him. He'd made a big change for Donny's sake, but the cost was higher than he'd ever imagined. And deep down, he knew his story was far from over. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Hollyoaks Update YouTube channel for more update news.